That takes some kind of funny transaction to do the contract. At the end of the contract, they are in the capital deficit position because of the risk-based capital. It's the job of the actuary to go tell management that we are looking for funds. Now, how do you do that? I think for an actuary to properly communicate, you have to be strong with emotional intelligence. You have to understand the thinking of the persons that you are trying to communicate to. You have to also understand that the persons who you are communicating to are not technically as competent as you are in terms of numbers or in light of what you're trying to explain. Alright? So they don't see the models, they don't see the assumptions, they don't see the things we've done there, they don't see all the actual work. What they see is the output. What they try to understand is how the output impacts their job. A salesperson walks up to me and is trying to talk about, I want to sell. And you're telling the person you can't give this particular quotation because this quotation shows us in the loss-making, puts in the loss-making position. And then the salesperson throws the answer and you tell them about that. And it's your job not to further escalate the situation, but to be able to explain to the person in a way that the person will understand that this is what we need right now. So I think in communicating as an actuary, you need to know emotional intelligence is very important. You need to figure out ways of communicating beyond just your technical knowledge. You need to figure out how to ease people into the decision that has been taken. Again, as somebody that mentioned, you need to talk about your limitations because again, you're not so accurate. You can give an opinion, and at the end of that opinion, the company is in an adverse position, maybe for some reasons you can't really control. So you should be able to estimate or properly communicate on the limitations and the extent of reliance you have. When you're making an estimation or making a prediction, you work with the data set. There is an estimate or an extent of reliance you have, model of the data set that you work with. You should be able to let people know that this is what we have, this is what we're doing. It can be better if we have more, something like that, but it's very important that an actually should have a good.
All right, thank you very much. So this would be our final question. So what advice would you give an aspiring actuary on how to position themselves for the actual profession? Yes, that's our question.
I'll say the first thing is, since we're still talking to students, is, study hard first. Pass your exams, acquire, but don't just pass the exams, read to understand, right? There are people who read to pass, there are people who read to understand and pass. So make sure early on you are able to acquire the exams, the exam passes, but also acquire the knowledge. Okay? So technical knowledge, so fine. But then, as someone has said here, you also need some practical experiences, right? So early on, look for internship opportunities. Look for internship opportunities, look for belong to associations, share knowledge among yourself. Read widely. Read about the industry you want to go into. It's not enough to just know your actuarial stuff, but if you are going to work in pensions, know about pension itself, like, a non-actuary working in pensions. If you want to work in insurance, learn about insurance like a non-actuary and know about that, right? Next is also try to, engage, like personal problem solving, right? You could see some data sets, work with them, produce something, try to see whether, you can solve them, on your own without being prompted. All this will expand, your knowledge base and your impact. And by the time you then go on, you'll be able to, make art in whatever you choose to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. That's 2 points. One of the things that you need to work on also is confidence. In the sense that you might work in uncharted territory. Some people might stumble and say, oh my God, I've never worked here before, I've never understood what this is about. Sometimes you're just there, you're the only one who can do it, and everyone behind you knows you have an actuary in this group. But deep down you know very well you've never done that before. So what that will require is for you to believe in yourself, to read widely, find ways of improving whatever unknown area you have. Then with that you're able to now, walk more confidently and be able to be like a trusted advisor to your management. The other point I wanted to point out is that because we are so limited within our space, you find that you're the only actuary in a group. You have to check yourself. You're not the smartest person. You might be the smartest person in the company, but you will develop a model. You have to really criticize yourself because you're the one who can guarantee the highest level of confidence in the output. So you find some people having a level of disservice in the sense that they think that they're smartest people, that is the result, and you tell management that is it. But before you give anything to management, criticize yourself fully so that you yourself are confident in the output, and also when you're communicating, they have a sense of like trust in whatever you're giving. So I just wanted to add on those 2 points.
Alright, I think I'm going to say this. This is to persons who are currently working, who don't have actual experience, but want to transition to the actual field. I'm speaking as someone with a personal experience in that regard. Our market is so small. We've had it established here. The Vice President has said it, and many of us have also seen it. We have very few qualified actuaries. When I wanted to transition to the actuarial function, I met with the former president of the SOA, Mr. Johnson. I think I gave his, I don't know. John Robinson, yeah. So I had a conversation with him, and it was on the platform of the UNDP Movement Arrangement. He made me understand that you can't be an actuary all by yourself. You can't start out in the function, you just walk into an organization, you've not done it before. You have a master's in actuarial science, and then you start working. It doesn't work that way. You need to work on that close supervision. But then we have a problem of supervision because we don't have as much presence. So I would say don't stop trying. Some persons have reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, they have a master's this, they're working in this, they want to transition. It's a very tough market. Most companies, there are several policies around recruitment, hiring people. And so you see people who want to transition at some point in their professional journey would hit a big wall because they may put in some effort in trying to gather one or two knowledge. But when they go to an organization, I don't think there's any person who is currently earning, the president in Nigeria, hypothetical now, who is currently earning 1 million naira, and then they say because we want to make a career change, we want to come from 1 million to 400,000. No one will want to do that. Every person will want to feel like, even if they maintain their normal earning, yeah, there are things that you would see, you need to trade-offs, you need to leave one to get one. But at the end of the day, trust me, I can't really itemize all the possible scenarios that will go into that discussion or decision making. But what I would say is don't stop trying. Knock on every door, knock on as much door as you can. Expect to hear no's because people are busy. But when you get the opportunity, give it your best. I happen to manage a few times, and I can tell you sometimes some persons are just tough. So when you get into an opportunity, you knock on the door and the door opens, just give it your best.